on behalf of the government of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, we have taken the requisite steps to bring him to Ghana to face trial. And if I were him, this is his home. He should just join the next flight and come here. Under my watch, he will not be treated unfairly. You know, he will go through due process and be prosecuted just like any other person, just like Kobina Edubohi or Hanan or any of the persons that I have filed charges against. I just got to know that he has hired some of the top. Yesterday, I got to know that he has hired some of the top lawyers in the United States of America, very experienced lawyers, to defend him. Now, I'm not afraid at all. All right, I am not afraid at all. But it means that there's going to be a fight in the federal courts in the U.S. If the district court says no, he will go to the circuit court. All right. If the circuit court says no, he's entitled to go to the U.S. Supreme Court to fight his case. So I cannot tell you that he will come tomorrow or he will come the next day. Okay. And I'm just being honest. Accounting to the people means being explicit and truthful. So this is what we are faced with.
Alfred, what do you have to say about the comments by the Attorney General? And remember that there was also a question to him which has been asked over and again about the extradition of Sedina Etieno, who has been convicted and is supposed to be serving a sentence.
All right, thank you very much, Samson. Yes, let me answer the second question. Sedina Tamaku, as you already indicated, she was convicted by a court in Ghana here. Before we left office, we had made all necessary arrangements for our counterparts in the U.S. to commence the proceedings there. And then we left office. I'm happy to know that the AG is also pursuing that course. That's the way to go. Now, when it comes to extradition
Clarify for us. Had you activated the extradition, as in you had done the extradition packets and forwarded them to the U.S. government by the time you left office?
Yes, Samson, I can confirm that. Okay. I can confirm that. Everything was done before we left office. Before we even left office, I'm on record to have said that we had even been told where she was living, and they were even tracing her almost on a daily basis.
Right. You told me right here on Newsfile. Now, and also on the law program. Now, why do you think it is taking forever? When they want extradition on our points, we are very much in a hurry. We arrest the people and even, question them, embarrass them, and put it on social media before we extradite them.
Yes, I'm also surprised that when it comes to the extraditing fugitives to us, it becomes a problem. It takes some time. When they are questioned, the issue that they say they have a lot of things to go through, just like ours too, we go through a lot of processes. Maybe as lawyers, usually when our clients are ordered to be extradited, maybe don't take the matter on appeal, so they're able to have them extradited with ease. But on their side, some of them there may want to exhaust every single legal process there. Maybe that might account for it, but I'm not comfortable with the delays that we have from their end. But the broader picture now that I want to bring on board with respect to this discussion is as to whether the extradition treaty between Ghana and US is fit for purpose. That's the first point. And whether indeed there is an extradition treaty between Ghana and the US. Samson, the treaty I'm talking about is 1931, which was signed between the UK, Great Britain, and the US. At the time, Ghana was not independent. And so it is argued that this particular 1931 treaty is binding on Ghana as being one of the existing laws under Article 11 of the Constitution. I remember when we were in office, there was a challenge to this extradition treaty of 1931. And I think in the case of Republic versus Ayorinde, Abiola Ayorinde, and others, the Supreme Court in July last year, 2024, made a pronouncement on the extradition treaty between Ghana and the US by saying that so far as the Great Britain, Ghana was under Great Britain, and that Great Britain had this treaty with the US, then that treaty is part of the existing laws of Ghana and Article 11 of the Constitution. That is the law. Personally speaking, I disagree. I think that as an independent state, we must have a standalone treaty with the U.S. In that treaty, we can detail certain things that we think we also want them to do when we want to have that kind of reciprocity. But if we keep relying on this 1931 extradition treaty, this because it has affirmed it's constitutional, that means that we are using this colonial legislation to tie our necks. Now, when it comes to Mr. Ofori-Atta,
form over substance. Form over substance. It has worked for us. We have used it over the years. Why are we now raising issues about it?
Samson, Ghana is an independent Republican state. Ghana, upon attainment of independence, has had this parliament, passed various laws, we've entered into bilateral treaties with various countries. What stops us from having our own with the U.S.? The courts are saying it is constitutional. No worries, I disagree. But I personally think that it is time that we had our own with the U.S.
Yes, upon independence, you didn't discard all laws. Just like there have been military regimes, you have not discarded all those laws. So what is the problem? Why is it that when we are talking about the extradition of Ken Ofori-Atta, now we have to, even the Attorney General has to make a debate about this, and then you two have all the commentary. What is it for? We have been using it without question. So what's the problem?
I agree with you. There are no questions about what we have now. It is constitutional. We have to use that one to extradite Mr. Ofori-Atta to Ghana. But moving forward, I think we have a stand-alone bilateral treaty with the U.S.
The thing is not broken. What are you fixing?
It is not broken, but I think that this colonial legislation should not still be hanging on the neck of Ghanaians. That's my personal opinion.
Okay.
It is a legislation that Great Britain, if you read carefully, as I said, the courts have delivered a verdict on it. I disagree with the court because if you take a look at the judgment delivered in July and the analysis made, I have my own opinion on the conclusion that they reached, but that is the decision of the court.
Yeah, your opinion is overridden by the Supreme Court's decision, which you have told us about.
So let me go to the current situation. In the U.S., if you look at the 1931 extradition treaty, before you can extradite a fugitive, or what they call criminal fugitive, from the U.S. to Ghana, you have to go through certain processes. The first one is where you have to put in a request. Ghana has to put in a request, as we are told the AG has done. When the request is received by the U.S., they will have to evaluate it and analyze to see whether it meets the threshold. And if it meets the threshold, then they will trigger the process to go to the courts and have the order decreed. Now we are told that Ken Ofori-Atta has engaged lawyers. I personally speaking, it is right to engage lawyers. And I do not see whether it's a top-notch lawyer or And most of the times, I'm saying, lawyers that you can mess you up. Lawyers that you underrate can mess you up. So maybe the AG ought not to have given that bit about top US lawyers. I said he has engaged lawyers. He was also ready. He was to step in and immediately because he's more than capable.
Why do you think he was telling the public about the fact that, you know, even if they don't succeed in the circuit, they could go up further, they could go up until they get to the Supreme Court in the US. Why was the AG interested in telling us all of this?
Maybe it's trying to prepare the minds of Ghanaians.
Yeah.
That it's not a short journey. It may take some time. That one has no problem with it. Yeah. My problem has to do with the description of the lawyers that he has engaged. Whether they are top-notch, every lawyer is a lawyer. But I believe in one thing, that if the processes that we have submitted to the U.S. meet their threshold, the U.S. will have to act. If you look at the treaty, the Article 3 of the treaty, it details the offenses under which the extradition could be triggered in the U.S. I've looked at a charge sheet which has been prepared by the OSP. I'm not going to make any judgment on it, but that charge will have to be evaluated by the U.S. to see whether there is merit to warrant the commencement of extradition proceedings in the U.S. But per the treaty also, Mr. Ofori-Atta has certain defense that he can raise. One of them is when he alleges that he's being politically pursued or prosecuted.
Yeah, that's my point.
If that argument succeeds in the U.S. court, he will not be brought to Ghana. Another argument they can put up is that if he is brought back to Ghana, his rights, fundamental rights, may be violated, especially when it comes to torture. Because you know there's a convention against torture.
Exactly.
And if you look at Article 3 of that convention, or what we call non-refoulement, if a fugitive raised the issue that if I'm brought to this country, I'm sent to this country, I'm going to be tortured, I can assure you if he's able to prove it, that fugitive will not be brought to Ghana. And so it's a long journey that we have to go. But that's
why should we be entertaining fears about things that happen in some military regimes and undemocratic states? Why would Ken Ofori-Atta suggest to anybody anywhere in the world that if he's standing trial in Ghana, he will be tortured and all those things? Why?
It's a defense available, whether it's going to activate it. I'm just trying to give a general education. I mean, we are in the democratic state. Issues of human rights, people may want to raise them because they're constitutional rights. But I'm just highlighting some of the things that his lawyers there are likely to raise when it comes to the extradition proceedings in the U.S.
That would be very damaging to the reputation of Ghana to suggest anywhere in the world as one of the most important citizens. Ken Ofori-Atta was a global citizen even before he became a minister. Why would he like to tell any country that Ghana will have a kangaroo court system, your rights will not be respected and so on? Why would he attempt to do anything like that?
I mean, he has not attempted doing it. And I'm not going to say he's going to do it. But Samson, this morning you gave your take. I mean, the 1 minute or 2 minute take that you gave. A situation where someone was arrested in handcuffs at the back, if you watch the video.
That's right.
And he was being told to say, admit this. And being filmed. I mean, it's not something that it's not a good sight to behold. It's something that we must be careful, as you said. Some of these things are the very things that look at the Ghana, the way you interrogate your suspects, you take them through that form of soft torture or torture in a way.
Okay.
And so, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Go ahead.
I think that the learned AG has given us the information about Ofori-Atta. Ofori-Atta definitely have his day in court in the U.S. Let's see how it goes. But whether top-notch or low-notch, we are all lawyers, and lawyers in Ghana should face them squarely. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. He posted a caveat. He said, well, I'm not saying that to say I am afraid. That's what he said. We are not scared of any of those lawyers. Well, he was trained in various other places and call it top-notch universities in the U.S. So he would, that's the last thing he would be afraid of. Professor Appiah-Chia, why should we be concerned that Ofori-Atta may fight this? Should it not be a natural expectation that he has events, an intention not to come back to this country, and on that basis, he would definitely fight his extradition?
Thank you, Samson. I think that question, the point that the Attorney General talked about, the top-notch lawyer issue, I've also been, asking myself, why would he raise such a question or point? Probably because he wants to program our minds to accept the fact that it's going to be a long-drawn battle to be able to bring Ken Ofori-Atta back to Ghana.
Oh, it's fruitless.
Yes, that's the point, that it could be fruitless at the end of the day. So the question as to why we should be concerned about that, I think the Attorney General is in a better place to answer that. Because the whole thing is about the procedures and the processes that we need to follow. And according to our Extradition Act, we have the procedure to follow, and the procedure is that we put our package together and submit it to the Office of the Department of Justice in the U.S., and then the case goes to a court. And so we have done that. There have been some back and forth, and some few gaps which we identified have been patched. So I think that if we have a solid case, we should not be worried about whether who is a top-notch lawyer or not is going to handle the case. At the end of the day, we should hope that we'll make a good case and Ofori-Atta will be brought back to the jurisdiction to face trial. I'm not sure we should be worried about, or Ken himself should be worried about whether issues about torture and so on. But the political question may become necessary, or may be a point that he can use to his advantage in a way, because already we know that with the Interpol situation, they managed to, it's kind of influenced the decision to do the reduction. So that may be something that may be a little bit of concern for the Attorney General with regard to the statement that he might have made. Now, the point that we also need to note is, or the question that I've also been asking myself is, going to court may not be the only way to handle this matter. There are also situations where you can go through diplomatic channels. And so that, and it looks like that is what, or that is the approach that the U.S. did with respect to the recent extraditions done against some Ghanaian citizens to be sent to the U.S. But Ghana has also done that before, at least in the case of the Benin case between Ghana and Switzerland. So I don't know if something is being done in the background with regard to that. And if not, why not? Because that doesn't violate any particular procedures or rules. It is something that is done when we are talking about extradition.
You talk about the political questioning and some back and forth that has happened. We understand, and I got to know Ofori-Atta hiring lawyers top-notch, top-notch long ago, because some foreign, persons wanted to speak to me, and I got to know about even the backgrounds of some of these lawyers about 2-3 weeks ago. The reduction that you have spoken about, even about the red notice and all, the suggestion is that, in November, there was a development that the confidential memoranda and related documents connected to the extradition process were leaked to bloggers, and that became, widely discussed in the media. And then you had the Attorney General and the Deputy also making complaints, all in the public and speaking to the public. I gathered that part of this commentary is what Ofori-Atta is using strongly to support his case that it's a political persecution that is going on. Going forward, what would you say? How should we handle this so that we don't get into discussions that our opponents use against us?
Yeah, you're right on that point. That's why I'm saying that. I was saying that the likelihood of political persecution, he can use that argument, and it's not necessary to say that he may face that if he comes to Ghana. And so, the basis for this argument that he can make is founded on the tension or the differences between the OSP and the AG's office. And I think that there should be more cooperation between the two offices. And I think we can look at the recent development with regard to taking the OSP out of office, or even completely abolishing the office, and so on, as all part of the tension between the AG's office and the OSP. And I don't think it bodes well at all for our criminal justice system, especially in fighting corruption. So I think going forward, what needs to be done is for clear coordination and cooperation between the two offices. I don't know what should be the basis for any tension between the two. Probably because the OSP was appointed by a different regime, and there's a fear that there's some kind of bias against Ofori-Atta. That could be one reason, but we don't have any material evidence to support that. And we also know that the OSP is trying hard to acquit the office of the responsibilities that has been assigned to it. So definitely cooperation is needed. Okay. There's that suspicion that the AG is trying to undermine the office of the special prosecutor, and that should also not be something that we should see flying around. Are you concerned that Ofori-Atta wants to wait to be brought to the country through this process? I'm not sure Ofori-Atta wants to be brought to Ghana through this process. And I have the suspicion that he may not want to come to Ghana at all to face trial. And so that is why at a point, it also makes me think if this whole process that we are going to go through, whether it is worth doing that. Of course, we have to try it. But I'm also thinking that we have to look at the diplomatic process as well. And whether we should also go back to the question of trial in absentia. So I've been asking these questions to myself, and I think that we need to make a decision at a point if we really want to continue with this process through the court system in the US, or look at the diplomatic channels, or even if you want to abandon the process and go through the trial in absentia, which, of course, the Constitution also allows us to go through. As for the trial, it has started. Sorry? As for the trial, it has started, right? Oh, yeah, the one in the US, yes. No, I'm talking about here in Ghana. The trial in absentia you are talking about. I'm saying as for that, it has started, because there are charges already against Ofori-Atta and his chef de cabinet, Ernest Daku-Akori. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, yes. Right. Thank you for bringing my mind to that. Yeah, so in that sense, excuse me, what they are trying to do, Attorney General is trying to do, is to bring him to give evidence and to for all the other processes to come into play. Yeah, but he can still be tried, even if the extradition process does not go through, and which will be a full-scale trial in absentia, because there could be the partial one where it may be started without him, but at a point he can be brought in to continue that trial. But where it's completely impossible for him to come, the trial can still go ahead. Okay. Yes, Kofi. It was on this platform that you said if you were his lawyer, you would tell him, don't come.
So, Samson.
And you took a lot of flack for that.
I took a lot of flack. And today I want to go back because I'm demanding my story. Yeah. See, I said, Ken is my senior brother. But on that day, I was the one saying he should be tried in absentia. And you and many others blasted me for a month and said, what do I mean by trial in absentia? Insisting that Ken come back. And I made the point.
Me, I didn't blast you. I just asked questions.
You, okay, fine. But later on, there was this whole discussion and blasting me because I said that if I was Ken's lawyer, in any case, any lawyer who was Ken's lawyer will not come. Now, a lot of the things I'm going to say have been said. I'm going to try and put it in a way, hopefully, to make it easy for people to understand, our viewers to understand. And I'm going to read this statement, and I'll show you. It's coming from the UN Convention Against Torture, Article 3. It's coming from the ICCPR, International Commercial, you can Google it, Article 6 and 7, African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and the ECOWAS Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance. They are there, Articles 5, 6, and 7. This is UN, African Charter, ECOWAS, and all those things. And I'm reading. It says, you find this in different forms in each of these ones. It says, an accused has a strong legal basis to refuse return to an antagonistic country If he says, if an accused has a strong, if hostility translates into real risk of unfair trial or serious harm, hostility can translate into real risk of unfair trial or serious harm. I'm not saying, it says if, and then this follows. It says, you can resist where there is political hostility to the accused, political hostility, politicians saying things against you. Prior persecution or harassment, things that constitute that. Lack of judicial independence, if there is a seeming lack of judicial independence, moving judges and all those things. Use of special tribunals or emergency courts. We are talking about tribunals today in Ghana. Evidence extracted by coercion. I can't say that is happening. Denial of legal counsel or open trial. No, that is happening. Now, my point is this. Over the year where Ken's issues have been debated, I sat here at the last time and said, we are talking too much. And instead of focusing on actually prosecuting the man, we are focusing on the drama around his extradition and the public blood test for Ken to be seen, to be paraded in this country, to be handcuffed and all those things. And that those things were not material. Which is why I said, if we want to do this job, let us go ahead, focus on his prosecution, which can happen in absentia. But at that time, when I was speaking, nobody was moving in that direction. And I released the information here that he had not even been charged. Ken was charged in November last month, after a year of talking, which gave all these grounds for Ken to resist. Let me make the first point. What the OSP did and what this government has done has given Ken a solid defense. And that is what I was talking about. That defense is why he cannot, or he will have a means to defend or to prevent himself from coming here. Let me make this point. Dr. Ayine is a top-notch lawyer and also a top-notch politician. Let me tell you what he was doing. He was managing expectation of the public by informing you that with the kind of things that have happened in the past year, which constitutes a defense for Ken, with the kind of lawyers, and of course he will have lawyers, and of course he won't have little boy lawyers, he will have serious lawyers. But Dr. Ayine is a top-notch lawyer. What he is telling you Ghanaians, he won't say it, I will say it, is that it will be a small miracle to extradite Ken Ofori-Atta to Ghana because of what the government, especially the OSP, has done. They have given him a solid defense. In any case, in the space of 3 years, he was telling you he can go to the first instance court, do an appeal, and go to the US Supreme Court. In the space of 3 years, it will be a small miracle to bring Ken to Ghana. Let me add this one too. You are asking for the extradition of a man who you have badmouthed for a year and who you just charged last month, who is not a convict. When you have a sitting convict in Sedina and you have not brought him here, you've left that one and you are asking the US government to extradite somebody you have simply charged when you have the room to prosecute him in absentia and you haven't done it. He's trying to tell you, Dr. Ayine is trying to tell you that it will be a small miracle. Don't expect him to work that miracle. So see, when we come here and we talk like this, it is not because somebody wants to support somebody or whatever it is. It is because I see these things, and many times when I say things like this, people don't like it because of the way I say it. But this is what happens. The last time I was saying the way we are going is what is going to lead to a situation where Ken Ofori-Atta will not come. Not because he's guilty. Ken has not been tried and proven guilty. And I'm telling you, do you know the number of charges against him? 78 or so. Are you aware?
78 is for all the accused.
All the accused. Any prosecutor.
I think there are about 20 or so against.
Any prosecutor involved in a serious case who puts up 78 charges is not serious. It's not serious. Because you and I know how long it takes to prove them, to try each of them. There are 2 or 3 that are going to catch the person.
Right, doesn't it matter the number of people involved?
It matters the number of people, but I'm saying that, look, the focus, who have we been talking about? Ken and his colleague.
When we had in excess of 78 charges against accused persons in the court, did you say the Attorney General was not serious?
You can have 1,000, but I'm saying 2, 3, or 4, not more than 10. Are going to nip the guy.
No, it's a general statement you have made that any prosecutor who prefers as many charges as 78 is not a serious one. And I'm saying we are living in a republic where this is actually not the highest number of charges.
But that's not the point.
An attorney
so here's my point. Here is my point, not what you're saying. My point is, in a matter like this, where you have a very laser focus on one person, and then you dump all these other people in, you don't focus, and you bring 70 plus charges against the person. All right?
You are not
serious. Because if you were serious, you will know that these plenty things, only less than 10 are going to hook him and then send him where you want to. Let me finish. Let
me ask you this.
It is important for me because you see, these are the things we do and then we will lose the case. Look, I'm telling you, read through the charges against Ken. He will walk with most of them. And he will use that to stretch this case. People have stretched their cases in this country for 8 years.
I was going to ask you a technical question. You say laser focus and deal with a couple of, charges. There are 9 people involved, right? Mm-hmm. And you know that the charges are not like stand-alone. They are interconnected. Mm-hmm. Somebody has done this and brought this person in. Somebody has done this, so they are interwoven. So how can you just single out Ken Ofori-Atta? Because you won't have a predicate offense.
Every prosecutor has a wide discretion, you and I know, on who he attaches for prosecution. That's one. 2, what charges they bring against that person. Some of them even flip people within that circle.
The case is SML.
My brother, see, I know you're trying to moderate, but you're actually tackling me. So my point is...
No, I gave you enough time to speak before I ask questions.
No, well, I made this point and we are going back and forth on it. Yeah. And my point is that, I repeat, any prosecutor who is faced with this kind of high-profile case, where there is a primary focus on one person, who, if all the people go free and Ken Ofori-Atta alone is convicted, the people of Ghana will be happy.
So is it your judgment that the prosecutor's focus should be Ken Ofori-Atta rather than all the other parties that have been
My
charged?
judgment is that given the way this case has gone, the persons who are prosecuting this case have made a series of bad decisions which will inure to Ken's benefit. And one of those bad decisions include how they've managed this process and also the fact that you are dealing with 78 or so.
You haven't answered my question.
I'm making my point.
There are a number of people, including companies.
Yes.
Is it your suggestion that he should be singled out and those ones, how? I don't know.
My suggestion is that all the people who are culpable should be part of the prosecution, but the prosecutor has wide discretion to decide who he will prosecute and who he will not prosecute. So he doesn't necessarily have to prosecute all of them. He can prosecute some now. Crime does not have a statute of limitations. So where you have a focus and for the whole year, it's only one person you are dealing with. Why don't you focus on that, deal with that, and deal with the rest later?
You think sincerely?
I think the strategy will lead to Ken walking free.
Okay, so you think sincerely that in a case where a company is accused of these quote-unquote corruption-related offenses, and a number of individuals are the ones who are alleged to be the ones who played the various roles, one person should be picked out.
No, that's all I said. What I said is the prosecutor has wide discretion on who he can prosecute. Why don't prosecute 2 or 3 people for now? Why don't you have a total of 10 charges against them which can stick and then later deal with the rest? And I'm making the point and I repeat, the way this case has gone on is what will make Ken Ofori-Atta.
Will you not have been the same person who will charge them of incompetence, that there are more than 2 or 3 people who should be charged, and they are charging only 1 or 2?
No, I don't do only law. I teach strategy. Law is a tool for strategy. The strategy should have been clear that you are going to focus your resources on 1 or 2 persons for now. Crime doesn't have a statute of limitations. And then deal with the others later, because you have a major issue. And now you've spread yourself so thin, 70-something, you spent a year bad-mouthing the guy, and now you have all kinds of situations which have constituted a defense to Ken. That's bad strategy on the
first. Of the 78 charges, which one of them do you think should have just
I won't go into the details of that now, but I can say this with all the force I can muster, that it is not good strategy under a circumstance like this to go with all these when only a few.
You've made categorical, emphatic statements that Ken will walk.
No, I didn't say he will walk. I say the way this is being conducted is what is going to...
What that tells me is that you have surgically examined the charges. That's why I'm trying to narrow down so we help our viewers. Which charge, for example, do you think is useless? Which charge do you think it's so bad that it will lead Ken, potentially to walk?
I am not going to go into the details of which charge will make him walk or not. I can say emphatically that anybody who brings a total of 78 or so charges in a matter that should be focused is not applying the right strategy. Anybody who has conducted a case that's this high profile over the year and only charged Ken last November, okay, and that does things, says things, does actions. And when, this is why Pebu is upset, okay? When Pebu found out that indeed, even when it came to the conduct of the, what do they call, the investigations, the OSP was lying. Oh, we didn't get the necessary help to keep him. They didn't try anyway. They've conducted themselves so badly. People was totally upset, and that is why he's written this. So I'm saying this thing has been botched. Look, people of Ghana, when the ultimate happens, don't get upset because you think Ken is this, Ken is that, or Ken hasn't done this or that. Sometimes it's the way the prosecutor or the prosecution handles the matter which makes it fail. And like I said, I sat here some time back and said, why haven't they started that trial in absentia long ago? They are not starting. Okay. So I'm saying it's not going well. And if this doesn't work, people should understand that sometimes...
This is not trial in absentia.
No. They are not starting the trial in absentia.
It's not trial in absentia.
What is it? I thought you said...
No, this is not trial in absentia.
No, what is it?
So hold on. I was going to ask a question, but I don't want to lose my focus.
Okay.
So the GRA bosses... Which one of them is not top and important in the case? The man behind the SML, which one of them is not important? So you feel that it would have been better to let them and deal with Ken?
There is a saying that if you chase two rabbits, you will catch none. I'm not saying this or that is not important. You see, in the US, they have what they call RICO laws. Okay, that's another matter. In trying to catch the mafia bosses, etc., they have plenty of them around. But they know that sometimes when you pull one rope, it unravels the rest. When you have one conviction, it will help the rest. So what they do is they focus on one person, flip other people to deal with that person. It's strategy. I am saying all of them are important. But take this. The strategy by which this case has been prosecuted is going to lead to a defeat. Or at least it's going to make the case difficult. That is what Dr. Aini was
clairvoyance.
Well, Dr. Aini was trying to tell you that this thing is not going to be easy.
Okay, but
and it's a strategy.
My question, which I asked, I think I asked the two gentlemen first. I want to ask you too. Why Ken, the Ken Ofori-Atta I know, has been a global citizen even before he became minister.
Correct.
He has a name to protect.
Correct.
Why does he want it to go through this process? When actually, is it he or his wife promised us that, is it in July, he will come and submit himself after he has done some, surgery of sorts? Why does he not want to come to Ghana?
Let me put it this way. Anybody who is in Ken's position is likely to do what Ken has done. Why?
Really?
Oh, yeah. Samson, if you felt that you will not get a fair trial, if you had done something where you believe you have a defense, but for a year you have been demonized, tried in the public, to the extent that a whole nation is basically baying for your blood, if you, knowing that you want your day in court, submitted yourself, even though you're responsible to video conferencing, you said your lawyers will be around, and everybody said, no, just bring yourself. If you have been pushed through the process that Ken has been pushed through, you will not be confident that you will get a fair trial. And that is why I read what I read from the beginning, that if all these utterances, if the conduct of the prosecutorial officials and all those other things together send a signal that it is more than just the case, okay, that constitutes a defense to you. You can hold it. So I'm telling you that's why I said what I said, that anybody who is Ken's lawyer will say, look, this environment is not good for you. I said then, and I want to repeat, because when people say I'm defending Ken, I want them to understand. I said, try him in absentia. And they went out and did what they did. Okay. So see, Ken, like you said, is a global citizen. Of course, look, I don't want to go into all those other things, but we are also not happy with what has happened. But the thing that we want, those of us who know Ken, is a fair trial of this man. So that it will be clear, I'm coming, so that it will be clear that he did it or he didn't do it. And I think, let me finish.
I've said a bit on you. So
that he himself will also have the confidence that he has been tried and found
you are talking about
innocent.
There is no assurance of fair trial. You don't believe in our judiciary.
I don't believe in our judiciary when we've had 1 year of chasing after the wrong thing, bringing him bodily here, when that was not material.
Why? Why? You're not the prosecutor. Let the prosecutor make the decision.
We are seeing the...
How does that translate to unfair trial?
I'm saying I read you something which is present in so many chapters, that where there are utterances, actions, and where there are things surrounding a particular matter that look like it will not lead to a fair trial, then you have a defense.
Like one comment from the prosecutor that suggests that there will not be a fair trial. One comment.
I'm not going to go into those issues. I'm saying that anybody in this country today knows that...
Submit yourself. I will not. I am going for a medical treatment.
Submit yourself, and he says that I am in hospital, I can speak to you by
video. I say, I'm not interested in video. Is that demonizing you?
No,
is that making it...
That's not what happened. Now, this is what happened.
Making it unfair for you?
This is what happened. It says, submit yourself for investigation. He is not under any compulsion to submit himself. But he says, I'm prepared to do interview by video. I don't want interview by video. They do a press conference. You are not, different from anybody else. We are going to bring you here. They do an Interpol red notice, this and that. Then they proceed to say, when they were trying to keep him from going out, the security services did not allow them to, stop him at the airport. It turns out to be a lie. For a year.
No, we cannot say that's a lie.
Well, if it's not a lie, fine. I'm talking about...
No, you are keeping to Kwebu's version of that.
Well, yes.
Which we have interrogated.
Okay.
So I'm moving on to my other guest.
Very well.
The interrogation is that it is only fair to them when they say around the time there was opposition from the regime, it wasn't good for them at the time. They didn't get cooperation. Please, let me finish. They didn't get cooperation. So it was even pointless to attempt to stop him, especially at the time when he had gotten clearance from the highest office, the presidency. They didn't say that they went to BNI or NIB and NIB said, we won't help you. They didn't say we went to this other place and they said, we won't help you. They say that Martin has turned that differently, going to ask questions that they have not said. So to say that they lied is unfair.
I would draw that. So according to Kwebu, it was not exactly as they made us believe.
Okay, thank you.
Period.
Yes, the Honorableness of Seni. So the one question I keep asking, if you were Ken Ofori-Atta, will you feel that Ghana is not safe to come to stand trial?
How will I feel that?
Because, like Bento said, you've been bad-mouthed.
Well, Ken Ofori-Atta was in the United States of America. He relocated to Ghana. He established a company here. He worked in the private sector for a very long time. He used the court system to vindicate his rights or defend himself when actions were brought against him. He was given an opportunity to serve this country in the highest position, and he served. At a point, his people, his members of parliament of his party rose against him. He was defended by the president. He kept in office for a very long time. He's completed his term as a minister at the presidency. Now he's been asked to just come and assist in an investigation into a matter that is of serious national concern to all of us. How can that be witch hunting? Tell me how.
He said, give me video interview. You didn't do that. You ran to label me as a fugitive. Bentel is looking at international conventions and all of AU level and saying all of this is constituting to a defense for him, and he will use it and you may not get him extradited.
Actually, listening to Bentel, I was torn between understanding him and where he's coming from And the attacks on the office of the special prosecutor, he moved in and out his presentation by combining an attack on the special prosecutor and the defense of Ken Ofori-Atta. And that kept me wondering what he was actually saying. Is he on this platform to defend Ken Ofori-Atta or to attack the OSP? Because you see, and you talk about strategy, and every lawyer knows that when you are going to court, you define a strategy for yourself. Every lawyer. And the man was teaching criminal law at the Faculty of Law. And so he knows that you have to go by strategy. And you cannot say with that, engaging him or following the matter in court, whether he's not employing strategy. And it will be foolhardy to conclude here that he has no strategy. I mean, it is simply an over-exaggeration of your understanding of the strategy. Simply. So let's come.
But he has identified certain things. He's telling you 78 charges. I mean,
well, when I don't know who taught you at the School of Law, but my judge, the Court of Appeal judge, taught me criminal law at the School of Law. And he told me.
Sambadu taught me.
Good. He told me. I didn't tell you that when you are reading the facts, you must identify all possible criminal offenses.
You can do that in one charge.
Oh, and separate them.
You can do that in one charge.
I'm sure you got an A.
Not one charge.
Not one charge.
Not one charge.
You give the not one charge. Not one charge.
Do that.
You don't do that. You don't do that in criminal. And then you bring the facts of the case to support that charge. List the number of charges. If you decide that you rank the charges, it's a different matter. But you must identify all the offenses created in the set of facts given you. That's how I was trained.
Okay.
Now, so, Mr. Bentham, I know we are all doing this because of our love for Ghana. And we are trying to set a standard for public behavior. That to whom much is given, much is expected. We also want to see how to reduce impunity and irresponsibility in this country. No one is arguing here that Ken Ofori-Atta has committed no offense. Because the Constitution protects and guarantees.
Remember last week I cautioned everybody on the panel that let's not treat Ken Ofori-Atta as if he's guilty.
Guilty.
And that if I were him, I'd rather want to come and defend and because I believe I'm not guilty.
The constitutional presumption of innocence.
Right.
Anita, you mentioned me.
Yes, I'm coming. I'll give you the opportunity. So, you see, for one, I've served in government at the cabinet level, senior cabinet minister. And I remember John Dramani Mahama telling us when we lost him to the system that no minister of state should travel out of the country. That we must all be ready and available to submit ourselves to the dictates of accountability. In fact, John Dramani Mahama actually told us in the cabinet meeting when we were occupying houses, that we needed to vacate those houses in 30 days. It was me who reminded cabinet that the law gives you up to 3 months to vacate. He said 30 days to leave the houses. Now, so you have given an opportunity to somebody to serve. And then he leaves this country. And any time I say that probably this argument we're having should have been extended to Victor Solomon. May his soul rest in peace. He was outside the country in the United States of America. He had a PESA. You know he had a PESA? Yeah. And everybody knew he had a PESA.
You mentioned me, so let me just deal with it.
Please. You come back. I'll give you the opportunity. I'll just say some small things and give you the opportunity. And then, when Kufuor won the elections, and they were looking for him as deputy minister to come and account for his stewardship, he flew from America back to Ghana. In fact, here you are saying that he was declared a thief. He was declared a thief even before the case went to court. You know, at the airport, they said when they arrested him, they found $2 million. I've forgotten. But he came. He subjected himself to the process. He was convicted and sentenced to 2 years imprisonment. He died in jail. He died in prison. Why should Ken be different?
You see, you mentioned me, so let me take my 10 seconds.
Kofi, hold on.
Why should, you see,
Kofi, I beg you, hold on.
I had thought, to be honest with you, I had thought that Ken will exercise his power, his right to voluntarily return to this country, especially given the circumstances under which he left. He had written to the Chief of Staff on humanitarian grounds that he was going to attend to himself and copied the incoming Chief of Staff. He was given permission to go to attend to himself. Now everybody is believing, including the Office of the Special Prosecutor, that he was running away. Now that's what everybody, I believe that. Because the legal system.
The special prosecutor gave that impression. Bentel is telling you all of that was poisoning the air against him, that he's running away. When in fact, at the time, all we knew was that he was
special prosecutor be poisoning when he had given the special prosecutor, when the special prosecutor issued the first notice, and I followed it, you followed it. And he said, well, I will come. He wrote a letter, said, I will come, and gave a specific date. The minority leader stood up in Parliament and confirmed the date that he will come. Everybody thought, yes, Ken will come. What changed?
The press conference.
What press conference? And that was after the press conference.
Actually, at the time, the SP was accused of not being sympathetic.
Yes.
I remember Frank Davis saying, we all can fall sick any day. Why is he behaving that
way?
Right.
But Ramiro wrote a very long piece and said, look, special prosecutor was not behaving humanly. And how can you exploit the medical condition of a person? So everybody gave Ken the benefit of the doubt. Everybody.
My 10 seconds.
Now today, you know what is going to happen? And CDD is here. You might have to come out with governance reforms. Because if this thing fails, if public officers know that they can run away from accountability, and if there is collaboration with established authority in assisting and aiding public officers to run away from accountability, I shudder to think.
The point that was made is that if they are not available, grant them video interview. What was wrong with that? If the person is not available, say, grant me a video interview and then proceed to charge them.
So you are looking at institutions not creating a new norm. It's not a new norm. You're looking at, you see, if you are in an office given a mandate to perform a task, you want to be as evenly fair to all people as possible. You don't want to create different standards for different people. You don't want it. In fact, that is why the Constitution in Article 19 or so, Article 19 or 17 or so, frowns against discrimination. You're given discriminatory treatment. 17 based on status.
Okay.
He mentioned
hold on. I beg you.
Because of how he went about it.
Kofi.
Oh, okay.
My production tells me we spend too much time just on you. So
but when he gives the impression that I want something,
so let's hear.
You need to give him the 5 seconds at least to explain. I also want Ken Ofori-Atta to come.
I think there's a point you have not traversed.
Well, go ahead.
My first point. First of all, I think we are being quite unfair when we blame the OSP for what we call a vilification of Ken Ofori-Atta. I mean, if you're talking about poisoning the air, I mean, just remember what we went through in almost the latter part of 2024 when he was the center of government failure. Even 100 MPs wanted him out, and so he being a figure that everybody in the post-election period want to be held accountable. That expectation has been there. Now let's talk about the OSP. And I've gone through, we all went through the processes around the medical grounds and the issues. And for me, I saw a lot of inconsistencies about when this surgery was supposed to happen, when it didn't happen. Even after the last sort of the red notice and all of those things, one would have thought that there was still an opportunity if Mr. Ofori-Atta wanted to present himself, that he could do that. Because I thought that some issue was creeping, a certain attitude was creeping, that when it came to law enforcement, people were making choices. I'll give this excuse, I'm not available, this and that. I am not an investigator. I don't run a law enforcement agency, but I would think that you would want to ensure a certain respect for the office, because these are crimes. These are not matters that you can easily, you want to interview somebody, you want to check the body demeanor, the person's, So if the person is offering you video and then you have looked at their actions before, even in terms of the medical report, you were just writing a letter. I mean, this is, if you are talking about serious medical report, like, why do you take that approach? So I think that when we do that, we are putting so much blame on as if that is the problem. The question I'm asking myself is, as all of you have mentioned, Mr. Ofori-Atta is not, as I said, you say he's global citizen, he has business interests and so on and so forth. Why would he, even if the trial go by absentia, that is not something that you want your reputation to be tarnished. So far, I haven't seen any processes, of course. I don't know the red notice challenges, whether they were the processes were made public in terms of what was submitted. But there has not been any statement that says, I fear political persecution, that's why I'm not coming. It sounds like that is going to be. We may find out when this challenge to the extradition may come. But the narrative from the beginning was that I have nothing to hide, I'm coming.
That's right.
It's just that I have this medical situation and so on. But as Kosi is saying, maybe that has changed. But we are yet to get, because it's also that.
So what do you know? Whilst you may be the wrong person to ask the question, perhaps to his lawyers, why is it that after all the deadlines have elapsed, is he still undergoing medical treatment? Why is it that at this point he's not making
that is the question, but that's what I'm saying, that Kofi suggests that things have changed, maybe because of the actions he took on the red notice, the actions he may take on the extradition, but that he will be making a statement that he fears
the red notice and all those things, they become useless once he himself decides that.
Very much so. So that's what I'm saying, that we are being unfair to the OSP when he has doubts about the claims about dates of. It's not the claims about that he might be doing surgery or not, but it's when you do the surgery, when you recover, all of those things. So that I am skeptical that you actually have an intention to come back, and that he has acted it. Yes, I mean, there have been excesses, maybe in terms of pronouncement, but I wouldn't say that because of that the air has been poisoned around Mr. Ofori-Atta, and that's why one might suggest that there's political persecution.
Okay.
What's his name? Wontumi. Why would he? Wontumi? Then what would Wontumi say? Because the public's, statements about. Then he will say that he will go and seek asylum in the U.S. embassy because he would think that that's. So I think that we for me, I would wish that yes, he would avail himself. And go through the process, because as I said, even the stain, beyond, because Ofori-Atta has dedicated his life to this country for many, many years. So I don't know what the end game is, and really that is unfortunate. I think.
Right. As I understand, our time is almost done.